I'm Mike Bed, the bulldozer man. I got a big business plan. Your house is in my way, so just do what I say. Find one wherever you can. If you live in Waterloo, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Pull down the high-rise and help out these nice guys. They're all mates of mine from school.
We're holding our rally here today because this park and the surrounding streets are under serious threat from this ridiculous tollway. Now I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, the Gadigal people, the Gadigal and Wangal people of the Eora Nation, and pay our respects to their elders past and present.
I'd simply like to state very clearly and quite plainly that WestConnex won't work. It can't work, it doesn't work. It's never worked anywhere in the world where an inner city freeway has been built. It's a joke, basically. In fact, there are 12 cities right throughout the world, from Seoul to Seattle, that are at present pulling down their freeways because they don't work. I'd just like to spend a little bit of time trying to paint a picture of what's proposed for the area that I live in here. I've lived in the street that you see behind me for 40 years. I'm appalled at what's about to happen. There are probably, by a conservative estimate, perhaps as many as 100 homes under the present proposal that will be compulsorily acquired and demolished. We are going to see massive concentrations of traffic. The concept with this interchange is to ensure that traffic is imported from all over Sydney. It's all going to arrive in Rozelle and then sort of head off north, south, east and west. The thing that really drives me crazy about Baird is he knows that this thing won't work. He's been told by all of the experts, all of the traffic engineers, the traffic planners, people whose business it is to know and to come up with viable and working solutions for Sydney's traffic situation. They've all told Baird that this thing simply won't work, but he refuses to listen.
Well, I'd like to start by thanking everybody who has been protesting and who has and in particular those who have been blockading and been arrested. I'd like to thank you on behalf of my professional transport planning colleagues and engineering colleague. I would like to thank you for that, because at times like this, people are often charged with that horrible tag NIMBY. But in this particular case, this proposal is so bad and it is so technically appalling. It is technically appalling, and it has attracted so much disdain within the professional transport planning community and amongst my colleagues that we are just so glad that the community is fighting this one to in the way that everybody has been. So thank you very much for that. What is remarkable about WestConnex is that when you look at the environmental impact statements for the various stages that have come out so far, then you find within that EIS no real justification for it. And what is the real cost of that? So if it's built, okay, we still end up with a network that is really quite dysfunctional. But let's have a quick think about what sorts of projects aren't being built because the government has decided to funnel all the funds into WestConnex. There are projects, wonderful transport projects like the Inland Rail project. It hasn't been talked about too much, but I'm hoping some people in the journalism community will start doing it. It's a rail freight link that links Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. And it has links that take freight into the ports in each of those cities. Now, without going into it into enormous detail, that project has the potential to benefit a whole lot of rural and regional communities, and it will take many heavy vehicles off the roads in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. And that project in its entirety, comes in with a dollar value, a cost value of less than WestConnex. It's almost about half of WestConnex. So we can have a project of that scale that is going to benefit enormous numbers of people, not only here in this city, but in rural and regional Australia, and that's not being given the funding, because a lot of funding is being chewed up by WestConnex. There are also rail and other public transport projects in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane that are not being funded because there's not enough money to go around. So one of the, I guess...
Next up, we do have several of the people who have been involved in non-violent direct action against the WestConnex motorway. In Northcote Street, Haberfield, we have Chris Eleanor, Sharon Laura, Bill Holiday and Paul Jeffries. And 2 weeks later, on the 30th of April, Chris Eleanor and Paul Jeffries then sat on the roof at Wolseley Street, Haberfield. On the 14th of May, in Walker Avenue, Haberfield, Bill Holiday and John Hyde occupied the balcony of the apartment. Then on Tuesday the 21st of June, we had the Women Against WestConnex, the Ashfield Four, Adrian Schilling, Paula Ricks, Ruth Townley and Gabrielle Brown, which got on 7, 9, 10 and Channel 2 News.
It's all you guys on the other levels that make it all possible. And while we're at this little apex that we've worked for, we have our say and then move aside and then let some of you move forward. But what we're doing is we've always got to focus on the fact we're trying to stop the road. It's the road that we've got to stop, okay? It doesn't matter which bit you're trying to stop, it's got to be all stopped, right from the start, right to the finish. Okay.
I recently retired as Senior Policy Officer at Shelter New South Wales, where the focus of my work is on the crisis of affordable housing, the availability of affordable housing. And my job is to, and my other colleagues at Shelter, are about finding solutions to affordable housing and knowing that it requires housing to be available at the right price, the right place and with the right amenity. And that really applies, those three things, I find they really apply to the lives of myself and my family, and I just want to tell you a little bit about that. I also need to say that I'm currently the chairperson of the Tenants' Union of New South Wales, and because of that I'm acutely aware of the vulnerability of tenants living in private rental accommodation, especially in Sydney. And I want to sort of draw the whole thing about the need, the crisis in affordable housing, to the building of WestConnex and the 16.5 billion waste of money that could go in other directions, particularly one of them being able to provide more affordable housing. And that's why we were really pissed off about the demolition of beautiful houses that have been in our community. And this house that we occupied is about 100 metres away from my house, on the other side of Parramatta Road. But our houses, both of those houses, are very close to the action and where the portals will actually be. And the school, the Haberfield School, is only about 200 metres away from this site of where the portals are. The experience of Baird's bulldozing of our community for a tollway to nowhere and forced local government amalgamations for his developer mates can make us despair. Determination is the best antidote for despair. So let's be clear. If we don't act, we lose. We are currently facing attacks on democracy left, right and centre. So I think we really do, as Chris has said, we need to resort to non-violent direct action. It's something that each one of us needs to consider.
Now, if you want to get involved in any way in this sort of direct action things, we have a direct action alert line, 0490 257 225. You just send a text to that, put your name on the list, and you'll get alerts when and as they happen.
There's no time to lose, because if we're going to stop WestConnex, we've got to do it right now and keep doing it until we stop the project. Now back to journalism. Look, I've been trying to investigate and follow this WestConnex project since about December 2014. And I can tell you it's a pretty hard process to probe because it's all very secret. But we did find out quite a bit about the contracts, and I think Pauline from the WestConnex Action Group may say more about some of the companies. But we did find out the millions and millions of dollars, quite apart from the billion-dollar contracts that are going to the big corporate law firms, the big corporate PR, ex-RMS people, hundreds of thousands of dollars who've turned themselves into consultants. But then they made the City Motorway Corporation secret, so we can't find out the contracts anymore. Now, I'd like to say a few things about community consultation today. Because a lot of people, it's natural that you'd want to put a lot of store by community consultation. You want to believe that people care, that they want to care about your opinion. But the fact is, I'm certainly not suggesting don't engage in it, but do not expect it offers anything to you, because this is a deal that has been done. We can stop it, but we won't stop it through community consultation. And I find it very interesting that Baird said recently, Mike Baird, a couple of weeks ago, that he felt the community consultation had not been good enough. Now, I think we've got to be very clear that Baird is very worried. We are cutting through. We're cutting through on the communication level because he thought by putting on some sham consultation and going through the process and just announcing it had been approved, the new M5 and the M4 East and the M4 widening, that we would somehow all accept that and go away. Well, we're not silly enough for that. Now, what he's upset about is that all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been paid to, for example, a firm called John Connolly and Partners by WestConnex, has got very good connections with News Corp, that hasn't been able to manipulate the media coverage enough, that we've been able to cut through that. They're also spending hundreds of thousands on WestConnex communications, like offers of an entertainment package if you fill in a small survey. They're also doing what virtually amounts to pushing the project through phone calls. So they're very worried, and they're very worried that we're cutting through.
The companies that will end up being the biggest, if not the only winners out of WestConnex, that's companies like Leighton's, Macquarie Bank, KPMG, and soon, no doubt, Transurban, have given millions in political donations to all three of those parties. It might also have something to do with the fact that back when WestConnex was first put on the table, the tollway industry was in crisis. Tollways like the Cross City and Lane Cove tunnels had either gone broke or they were getting there fast. So when the New South Wales government invited some of those same companies that built those failed motorways, including, again, Leighton, Macquarie Bank, and also another company called ACOM, to help them plan WestConnex, you can bet that they jumped at the chance. And even when they didn't want to put their own money on the table to build WestConnex, Mike Baird stepped in and decided to use our money to pay for it instead. And that's why WestConnex is being funded through our tolls and our taxes.
I'm Mike Baird, the bulldozer man. I got a big business plan. Your house is in my way, so just do what I say. Find one wherever you can. But don't try to get in the way. We got it worked out okay. We're pushing through new laws and we've got the police force, so just do whatever I say.